Hello, hello, and welcome to Entrepreneur School this lovely summer day. Super excited about our conversation today, which is all about building your digital headquarters. So how to organize and your growing business in one place so you always know what's going on, because as entrepreneurs, we are like doing all the things, wearing all the hats, and we have all the sticky notes and all of the notebooks and all of the things everywhere. And sometimes it just becomes so draining to even try and remember what our idea was, let alone carry out the actions that need to happen to make something occur. Like, getting a client or responding to an email or following through on an opportunity, right? And so that's why I was so excited when I met Taina and she was like, I help people organize all of that. And I said, yes, we definitely need to bring this to the Entrepreneur School community. So I'm going to do a quick intro and then she's going to take it away and teach us all the things we need to know about organizing our businesses. So Taina helps entrepreneurs to streamload their work with personalized business management systems in a tool called Notion. This can be anything from tasks, projects, and processes to customers, teams, documents, and beyond. In her work, she draws from 10 plus years of experience with corporate strategy, project management, processes, and her love for using technology to organize and streamline work processes. And when she's not nerding out on that or streamlining workflows, you can find her playing with her two small children or practicing yoga. And she's coming to us all the way from Helsinki, Finland today. So super excited. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for the intro. It's so exciting to be here. I just personally love and get so pumped up talking about systems and how to help people get their businesses organized. So it's super fun to be here and be able to share my learnings and my best practices with you guys to hopefully give you as much as possible for you to take away and implement in your own businesses. But let me actually share my screen because I always love to have a few slides to show as we go. Kelly, can you confirm that you're able to see what I'm presenting?
Sure can.
Okay, perfect. Then we're good to go. So you already know the headline for today, so let me move on. Kelly already introduced me, so I'm not going to go through the same thing again. But what I want to tell you is a little bit about what got me started working as a Notion consultant, working as a business systems expert, helping other entrepreneurs bring their businesses organized on top of this tool called Notion. Well, yeah, you know already that I have this corporate background, startup background, where I used to work with these big companies and fast growing startups, helping them keep things streamlined and organize their processes, be it strategy, be it sales or something else. But then the turning point really for me was when my first child, Elsie, was born 3 years ago. This lovely little toddler, when I watched her do her thing, try and learn new things, trip on her face and just rise back up again, not really caring if she fails a couple of times, doesn't know how to do things from the very beginning. It was just so profoundly inspiring me and got me really to kind of connect with this inner child of mine who wanted to do something fun, something which might not be easy and might require me to learn also some new skills. And that really encouraged me to start my own business, which looked a little bit different in the beginning, but then after a couple of twists and turns, I'm here today, happy to share my passion for building these business systems using this Notion tool, and really so pumped up to share this with you. But I would really want to explain to you a little bit about what is going to be the agenda for today. By the way, when you're watching the replays, if you're in listening up, type in the chat or type in the comment box what kind of business you have, because I would love to understand who's watching this, what kind of topics you're focusing on in your business. That's really always good to know and understand, to tweak the contents of what I will be explaining here. But before we dive in, just a quick overview of all the things we're going to be talking about today. So first of all, after this session, you will know why building business systems is so critical for achieving business success and also for staying sane in the process. Then I'm going to explain the 3 types of systems that any business owner needs. Then we're going to take a look at a few very common misconceptions I see business owners have about systems that are really holding them back from getting organized and getting streamlined in their business. Then, as we've settled about the whole importance of business systems, we will dive into how to actually start implementing better systems to manage all the stuff. So we'll be taking a look at how to choose a right kind of management tool for your specific needs. And then we'll take even a little bit deeper dive into my personal favorite tool of choice, Notion. So I will explain how that works. I'll give you a little demo, and then I will explain to you what are the different ways that it can be used to organize different areas of a growing business. Finally, we will also take a look at what are the 3 key ways you can move forward setting up a system like this, because everyone's business is different and everyone's budget and everyone's like what's happening in their entrepreneurial journey looks different. And I hope that you can stick until the end, because there will be a couple of free surprises waiting for you. So you don't want to miss those. And I'd really love to keep this interactive. So I will be asking a few questions every here and there from you guys to understand where you stand. And then in the end, we've reserved time for your questions. So let's keep this interactive. Let's keep the discussion going. And in the end, we can dive into anything that you have on your mind regarding systems in general or about Notion. But first, I'd really love to hear which parts of managing your business currently feel especially messy for you, overwhelming, or chaotic.
I'm laughing so hard at everything. Stephanie, you're probably like, oh,
It's me.
Oh.
Well, you're lucky. I always have questions and lots to say.
Cool.
One of the things that I find really challenging is just that there's so many different systems out there, and I want to know all the things, and I feel like I don't. So I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and I want to use the best system. Like I don't want to buy into a system or start using it and realize it doesn't do everything that I need or want it to, and then feeling like I need to change something else, and maybe I've invested in it. So it makes me stressed out. I just feel like I don't really know the best thing, but I know that I need stuff, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And I think we will actually be diving a little bit into that exact challenge you're describing a little bit later today. So really good that you're raising that up. Kelly, do you have anything to add here? Something you find especially challenging to keep organized?
Yes, running these events. Yes, and because there's multiple people involved, there's a speaker, there's me, there's different promotion strategies, there's different people doing different things on my team. So it's kind of like a big thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If I can add too, similar to Kelly, and like I have a lot of moving parts, And so sometimes, I mean, I'm quite sure that I have ADHD too, but so like my brain is all over the place and then my work
Yeah.
also feels all over the place.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's another thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sounds familiar, definitely. Although sometimes people come to me like, I'm embarrassed about this situation, but really, I think it's super common to be disorganized. No one is perfect, but there are always ways you can move one step ahead and get rid of that unnecessary overwhelm. So
We embrace the hot mess here. Bring your hot mess. We're welcome. You're welcome here. You can sit with us.
Yeah, that's sometimes okay. Just gotta find the balance. Yeah, but thanks a lot for sharing those. And if there's anything else coming up, just feel free to type in the chat or in the comments. But here I've gathered a few common signs that are present in an entrepreneur's day when they are missing those critical systems to keep things organized. So it's, as we already mentioned here, it's very common to feel like your tasks and projects are scattered everywhere. You have all those notebooks, you have your post-it notes, you have some whiteboards, documents, Google Sheets, whatever, and it's in just way too many places for you to be able to focus, know what to prioritize, and know where to find this stuff. Also, something that people very often struggle with when they're missing proper systems is that they're trying to manage way too many things in their head. And it really eats up your mental capacity to do the higher level thinking in your business and really be the CEO of your business if you're just constantly trying to hold on to all the details of what task needs to be completed, and I need not forget this thing and so on. And it might even cause you to have trouble falling asleep at night, stressing about perhaps forgetting something critical. Other common issue I see people have is that they are not consistently managing their leads in their sales pipeline or their client information about their existing clients. And this is obviously not just messy, but also lost revenue and a lot of potential wasted there. Then people might think, okay, I'm gonna fix this messy situation by just hiring people to help me and delegate some of this mess to them. But really, it's not gonna work if your processes are all over the place, if the information needed to conduct those processes is nowhere organized. So these are just things that have to be put in place before starting to really expand your team. And finally, it's not atypical for people to spend excessive amount of time repeating some mundane tasks, even if they think that there must be a better way to do this. But when we start putting systems in place, even simple ones, we can find that we can actually have all our tasks and all our projects in one system that we can truly trust to keep us consistently organized and prioritized. We will no longer have trouble staying focused on what really matters. We can sleep peacefully knowing that we're on top of everything we need to be. We can manage that lead and client information consistently and have it easy to find when needed. Also, delegating to team members, getting new contractors on board becomes a breeze when you have something structured you can give them when you're trying to hand over the stuff for them to manage. And finally, you can also find ways to systemize a lot of the repetitive work for added efficiency. Overall, I would say that if you are feeling overwhelmed and chaotic in your business, that is a clear sign that you should be doing something to improve your systems. That's just not the way things should be, and there is a better way. Now, you might be we've been talking about systems in a pretty general sense. So I want to next explain to you what types of systems there are. How can we like categorize or create buckets of systems to consider when trying to organize stuff in our business? And there are essentially three types of systems we need to consider when systemizing and organizing our business. First of all, there are the management systems. So these are for systemizing, streamlining all the activities related to leading your business, governing your business. Examples of this could be setting goals, strategizing around what's coming in the next months and years. Sometimes team leadership if you are a team leader, and also the more detailed planning to turn your strategies into reality. Then there are operational systems you need to have in place. These are about all the core business functions that deliver the value to your customers. So this is really in the core of how you serve the people you serve. Examples of this could be your lead generation, your sales, managing order fulfillment, or the actual service delivery. And finally, there are supporting systems. And these are just to make all the other activities in your business possible. And examples of this could be accounting. Even though I hate it, probably most of people hate it, it just has to be done in order to have any sort of business. Then there's hiring, there could be training, security, but really these are just examples. It's not that every business at every stage of this journey needs to have all possible systems in all of these buckets in place, but it depends on the type of business you're running, the stage of your journey you're in, then what are the specific elements you need to pay attention to within these high level categories. Now, I would want to come back to you a little bit and ask, because we've quite a bit established now that everyone needs systems. On some level, we need to think about how to organize our business. We need to think about how to systemize things to be able to lead and run our business efficiently. But still, we're not always doing our best job putting those systems in place. So can you share me a little bit of your experiences on what has been most holding you back from building better systems to manage your business? I think Stephanie already a little bit talked about the difficulty of even choosing where to start, like which tools to choose. But I'd love to dig a little bit deeper into what has been holding you back.
Two things off the top of my head are that I often create my own systems sometimes, like just for how my brain works, but then I'm not very good with sticking with them. So that I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I'm constantly just creating new systems and processes, and in the moment it feels really good, but then staying on top of it and using it is not always the best. And I think the second is just taking the time to do the research, because there are so many options about different systems, and I just get kind of overwhelmed because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Sounds familiar. Many
Kelly,
people are struggling with the same issues, definitely.
Kelly often gets Voxer messages where I ask about her systems in case she's like putting two and two together. I'm like, Kelly, what do you use for this?
I was going to add, when I started my business, I didn't even, and actually maybe right now, the word system and what we're meaning when we say the word system right now might be interchangeable, because sometimes we mean like, is that a tool? Like, is it a piece of technology that can do something for me? Or is it like a process, or is process and system interchangeable? And it's a little confusing. And I was kind of under the impression, especially at the beginning, where it was like, Well, once you've like done certain things a number of times, then you can be like, oh, I need a system or a process for how I do that thing, but you don't even know what it is before you start, or maybe you could, but you don't know where to look. So it's kind of like all over the place there.
That those you're making two really essential points there, I would say. Yeah, I totally agree with the fact that we often confuse systems with just tools. That's just not how it is. I should have put a slide here. I left it out, but in my thinking, systems consist of really four things. It's about having, of course, a tool to support all the things, but then you need to have the processes or routines. You need to have the information or resources related to that system, and then you need to have the people who need to be really on board and trained into running it and so on. So if any of these four elements is missing, you don't really have a system. So yeah, you're very much on the right track there, that it's not about just the tool. Yeah. And now I already lost my thinking. There was another valuable point you mentioned there. Maybe you can remind me.
Oh, just like how to identify what process you have before you really started doing things too many times. Like,
thank you, Kelly. Yeah, that it's definitely not always easy to know what you should be prioritizing in terms of systemizing, and even how much effort and bandwidth you should give to systemizing things in your business, because you could spend an endless amount of hours just making sure every single piece of what you work on is in perfect order. But I would say it's always best to start with those workflows or those processes which are the most established, so that you will not expect them to be changing constantly, because then you would be essentially wasting time systemizing them. Also, it's important to think about how critical they are for your business, and prioritizing based on the impact that systemizing them is going to have. And obviously also considering the cost of doing the work to structure and streamline things. There's always quite a bit of work involved in setting up a system around a specific area of your business. Yeah, but thanks so much for sharing those experiences. Really good points from you guys. And we will then be discussing the 4 common misconceptions that I often hear business owners have that keep holding them back from systemizing their business properly. Maybe we hear some of the same things we already discussed. The first misconception is that many times we keep hearing the story, which is a partial truth, that you need to move fast and break things. You don't want to get stuck being a perfect student and having everything in nice order, but you might want to make fast progress to really move the needle in your business. But to some extent, you still need to worry about being messy. There is such thing as moving too fast, and there is such thing as keeping things too messy. So if you totally ignore systemizing while growing, it will at some point bite you in the back. Any business benefits from organizing some of the core information and work. And I would say it's much easier to start building structure around it from the start, instead of having a huge mess accumulate over years and then try to sort that out later. If you lack like a sufficient level of organization in your business, it will actually slow you down instead of allowing you to move faster. You will be less efficient, you will have inconsistent client experience, you will have an impaired ability to delegate to others, among other things. Another common misconception I've heard is that when I have too many things on my plate, I can just hire more team members to help. I'm not really a systems person. Just bring in a couple of more pair of hands and I'll do fine. But really, hiring without having sufficient systems in place will make not just you, but also the team members inefficient. So it's really a waste of resources, I would say. Your team members, even if you hire the best people, they still rely on you to bring them clarity on what they need to do and where they need to focus. So if you don't have systems to manage all the delegated tasks, related documents, your processes or standard operating procedures, coordinate the statuses and communications, your team will be inefficient and you will spend a huge amount of your time coordinating, sending 100 messages on WhatsApp, sitting in some status meetings, going over the same things again, asking, where is this, where is that sort of thing. So it might actually not be such a good solution to your overwhelm or your piles of tasks on your table to just start hiring from the start. The third misconception I wanted to speak about is that it relates a little bit to what we already discussed with Stephanie, that sometimes we get the feeling that because there are so many tools out there, I have no idea how many, that in order to run my business properly, I should set up hundreds of tools for all the different purposes, and that keeps us stuck. We don't know even where to start because it would be an endless amount of research to go through all the options and to get ourselves knowledgeable on what to prioritize and how. But let me say a few encouraging words here. Simple work management tools or project management tools are usually enough for systemizing most things in our business. As said, there are countless of specialized tools which are really super powerful for managing some detailed area of your business. And these can be excellent when you want to have some advanced functionalities, when you want to optimize specific workflows and really get it right. However, almost any kind of work, any kind of information can be organized in one streamlined business system using these simple work management tools. Now, let's talk about the final misconception here. And that is that too many of us have tried getting organizing on tools like Trello, Asana, even Notion before and failed. And that makes them feel like they're just maybe not carved out to be a systems person and none of these management tools will ever work for them. But hey, let's not give up. And here we come back to the point of systems not being about the tool. So it's really not enough to do all the research and find the perfect tool for our business, because first of all, it needs to be designed to or set up in a way that fits your business's specific needs, as well as how you like to work according to your personal preferences. Also, it's important that if you're running a team, you do sufficient training about the tool, and you also do a proper amount of change management to really get them on board on consistently using that tool as intended. Also, something that might be often forgotten is proper data migration. And what I mean here is that you really make sure all of the key information you want to be managing in a system is actually moved there. Because if you just move a couple of tasks into your task management system and then 5 stay in that notebook and the rest stays in that Excel, you will not have a system. But most of all, we need to develop the routines and processes to use the system consistently to really make it stick. That's the biggest issue, I would say, for most people who fail organizing their business, because they haven't thought about what is the routine that I will do on a daily basis or that I will do on a weekly basis to make sure that the information stays intact, that the system stays intact, and that's the way to make it stick. All right, now let's move a little bit more to the tool side of business. So now that we've established how important it is to systemize and organize your work and information properly, let's take a look at these work management system options we have out there, and I will try to give you my best advice in things to consider when choosing the right option for your business.
Can I just add one thing?
Of course, yeah, go ahead.
For context, one of the challenges I find with my systems is I kind of have two related but different things. Like I have I'm a lobbyist, so it's similar to like a coaching business where I have clients, and I also have a podcast, and broadly they fit together, but they're very different and they use different systems. So that's one of my challenges, because keeping them apart is challenging, but then also pulling them together, they're also very different. So I don't know what the answers are, but I'm just saying that's one of my contexts in case that's helpful.
Yeah, are you talking mainly about the tasks related, like the action items you list somewhere around managing those?
Yeah, maybe like I guess like some of the things that I do for each of those are very different in some ways. So I just don't know, like, do I keep them apart because they're really different, or do I try and find a tool that allows me to bring them together? But whether they're separate or together, they still need better cohesion.
Yeah. Of course.
Kelly, did I explain that well? Because you know what I do.
Well, there's one common denominator being that you're the one doing all the things regardless of what list they're on, right? So that sort of suggests there should be some way of tying things together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, of course, I lack some of the detailed information about your situation, but I would say in general, when you have some work or information that is in the essentially the same or similar, whenever possible, I would bring them into one system. And a good basic example of that is a to-do item or a task. So I would never recommend to have tasks in multiple systems, because then it will really become difficult for you to be able to get an overview of what you actually have on your table, how much capacity you have, and how to prioritize those items. So I would aim to bring them into one system, optimally the same place where you manage a whole lot of other things in your business as well. But then obviously, when you're doing a very specific task, such as podcast management, there might be some individual workflows or individual tasks where you need some very specific podcast management functionalities, which are just not available in your task manager. So then I would kind of just keep them handy or link from those tasks which are in one place to that other place when you need it, but still I would try to pull the action items into one place, if I'm making any sense. Good. Yeah, it's always case by case, but in general, I would advise to keep similar items as much together as possible. Yeah, so as we already discussed, simple work management tools are usually enough for systemizing almost all aspects of our business operations. And here we have a number of tools. I would say the slide would not there would not be enough space to list all of the work management tools out there, but here are some familiar names. I wonder how many of these have you heard about before or even tried?
Most of them.
Mhm.
Ellie,
Okay,
oh my God.
that's telling.
I've just used, I don't know, what's the N?
Sorry, what?
The N.
The N. Oh, that's the magic N, the notion that we'll
That
be
must be
diving
the one you do.
into
Oh,
slightly
okay.
later.
I've
Yeah,
only used Asana. Not by
that's
choice.
well, that's a pretty solid tool. It's a not an unpopular choice for sure.
But not like more in a very basic sense of like to-do lists and some minor project management, but
Yeah.
I
But
used to
yeah.
use Microsoft Teams to
Mhm.
manage projects at the PR firm, and that was terrible because then nobody else could even see anything unless you had a license. But then I got kind of obsessed with Gantt charts, so then I found Rike and I really liked that.
Mhm.
And now I've used Basecamp, Airtable, and ClickUp with different clients or other businesses before, and I don't like any of those. And now I use Trello primarily for my stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. Those are quite popular tools, and I'm not a big Trello fan myself, but Airtable and ClickUp I also like. They are pretty nice tools for sure. Yeah, but with all the options out there, it's not so easy to make the choice. Which one should I pick? Well, let's narrow down a little bit. So these are the 4 most widely used ones worldwide. We actually talked about all of these, or you were quite familiar with them from before. So the most widely used ones are Trello, Asana, ClickUp, and Monday. Those are all like safe choices in the sense that you will not be alone when using them. Here I gathered a little bit of a comparison on some key aspects of those tools. So flexibility, automation, views, documents, ease of learning, and price. And I would say in terms of flexibility, ClickUp and Monday are slightly better than Asana and Trello. Trello would be the least flexible here because it's strictly board structure. There are some ways to view it in a couple of other ways, but it's mainly focused only on the boards, whereas the other ones offer more options in terms of how you organize things, and also cross parts of the system you can actually link better. Then what comes to automations, all of these top tools have some form of built-in automations that you can use to automate how information or mainly work items move around the workspace. Asana, I would say, has best capabilities here currently. Then what comes to views, well, we already talked a little bit about with the flexibility. So Trello is the loser here in terms of views. And then what comes to managing documents, ClickUp and Monday offer a little bit better capabilities to have some written documents alongside all the task and project items. And ease of learning, I would say Trello is the easiest to learn here. That's something I would recommend for someone who wants to get started really fast and doesn't have much time to dig into the tool. Whereas ClickUp, I would say, is the most difficult one of these to get a hang around. It just has so many features and the UI can get quite confusing. What comes to price, Trello and Monday could be considered the priciest, and Asana and ClickUp may be slightly better priced. But overall, I would say Trello is great for managing very simple projects and work and simple plans, and it's quick to learn when you don't want to spend too much time digging into it. Then Asana, ClickUp, and Monday are great for managing slightly more complex projects, and also they can be used for streamlining some internal workflows and collaboration. But then let's go to the N. So recently, a company or organization named Okta, OKTA, released a report on the fastest growing apps of 2022. And on the very top there, we see a new contender called Notion. And there could be many answers to why this is. They've obviously done some great things on their marketing side, but I would say one of the key reasons Notion is gaining so much popularity these days is that instead of mainly focusing on managing tasks and projects, Notion is great for organizing any kind of information and work. You can obviously put into ClickUp as a task process, or you can put into ClickUp as a task social media post. That can be done, but these other tools have essentially been designed for managing projects and tasks. And that really shows, because you have due dates where they shouldn't be. You have the whole setup has been like imagined and designed from the point of view of managing projects. But what comes to Notion, it's extremely flexible in terms of how you can organize stuff. So you can create databases with exactly the kinds of properties you want. You can tweak those around, have the whatever views you need to manage all the stuff that's in your business. So there's my rating for the different areas of Notion as well. Obviously, I keep raving about the flexibility. I keep raving about the views, about how you can also make real text documents there with images and stuff. The price is almost non-existent. You can go far with the free plan, but there are a couple of downsides, obviously, as well. So automation is something where Notion still clearly falls short of the other tools. There are not yet any built-in automations. Something can be achieved with third-party tools like Make, but that's something where Notion falls behind, although they have it on the roadmap coming. And then also, Notion, it's easy to use Notion. There's no problem with that. But when you want to organize all the areas of your business, to find the ways to do that requires digging quite a bit into all the possibilities and features it offers. So that's why ease of learning is maybe not the highest with Notion. Yeah, but overall, it's a great tool for building custom workspaces to organize any kind of work and information, including documents.
So Stephanie just asked in the chat, what do you mean by views? I think you mean like the different ways you can look at how it shows up, right? Like
exactly.
Calendar view, or like the board view, or like maybe like the Gantt charts or whatever.
Exactly that. Yeah. Those are all views. And when pretty soon we look a little bit at the demo, I can show you very concretely what I mean here. And overall, I would say with Notion, you don't need a ton of separate tools. You don't need to find all the 100 tools to manage every area of your business, but you can use that one tool to organize almost everything in one simple business system in one place. This picture just goes to say that some examples of different areas of work in your business, which you might be able to organize using Notion without having to look into all these other more specialized tools. Obviously, that also has to be said that the special tools come with many special features which are not available on Notion, but in many cases you don't need them. And if you just set up your Notion workspace right, you can have and bring all of this into one place. Now,
let's see it then. This looks so exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Now
Yay,
it's time. I'm already sweating here. It's super hot. I don't know what is this heat wave in Finland. I'm gonna open my window here. Yeah, I'm getting so excited.
You showed just on the last slide there, when you just show like the number of logos of things, it's like seriously, that is seriously how many tools we all use, like, or even just the one where it's all going into the box, because you're like, okay, well, I have Google Suite and I have Active Campaign and different things to send emails, and then all of the social media tools and all of the like the website and the how do people pay for things online through a different tool. Like there's so many things. So whenever we can, and it's that it like ends up being that like $10 or $20 a month to death, because you keep signing up for these new softwares all the time, because they do one thing that you think that you need, and then really there's always got to be a better way. So I'm excited to see what this
yeah. Sometimes you obviously need them. I'm not going to say that Notion is the all and end solution to every problem on earth, but still we often find ourselves using tools we don't need because we could do it in a way simpler way. All right, but let me close the slide for a second to open Notion. Can you, by the way, still see my screen? Is there Notion now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So just like a 5-minute demo on how Notion works, just so that you get the idea, and then I'm going to show what you're actually going to be able to do with it. This first part is not going to look impressive. It's more about getting a hang of the logic, how the tool works. So first of all, in Notion, the high-level hierarchy is about having a workspace where everything you manage is located. Then, as we see on the left, we have pages which can be nested under each other in different kinds of orders. And then within any page, such as the one we're viewing right now, you have blocks. So this is a block. I can move it around, put it in a different order, and a page consists of blocks. That's the basic hierarchy. Then let's create here a new page. I'm going to delete this old demo here to show you how blocks work. So I'm going to just type in page, which then becomes nested on inside the previous page. And this is an example page. I'm having a hard time typing here. All right, and now let's put in a few blocks. I'm going to put a heading like this. Then I'm going to put in another heading. It didn't come. Let's do it again. Like this. As you see, I can drag these around. I can make this full width so that we have more space to work with. And let's put in a table. This is another block we just added, and let's move it there. Let's do something still. Let's add a to-do list. Let's add a database. This is where the powerful stuff comes in. All of these you can move around. You can add images from your computer or somewhere else. So little by little, you can build out whatever kinds of views you need to manage a task you're working on. And let me just scroll through the list of blocks available. So we have these basic blocks with text and bullets, quotes, call outs. Then we can mention or kind of ping other people. We can mention pages, insert dates and reminders, equations. Then the database, this is my favorite juiciest part of Notion. You can have all here, you see a list of all the different views we have available: tables, boards, galleries, lists. There's also the Gantt, which for some reason is not just visible here. We can add images, web bookmarks, video, audio, file uploads. We can embed from various different systems. So really, there's a ton of options what you can put on these pages. You can also bring in stuff from your other project management tools if you're already using some other ones. Yeah, but it's just a long list of options there. And
So
let's go
for
back.
the page,
Yeah.
would that be like, why would you make a page? Would it be like podcast production project as an example? Like maybe we could play through something specific so we
You
can
could,
follow.
well, to be exact, actually everything in Notion is sort of a page, but to keep things simple, for now, I would say that you can create a new page, for example, to create a dashboard for bringing in various information from across your workspace. You can pull in views of filtered views of databases that are actually somewhere else in your workspace to just have some section on a nice dashboard or report view on that page. So that's one way to use Page, but you could also use Page for writing your next novel. It could work just like Google Docs, or you could use a page to house a database so that it would work just like a Google Sheet or a Trello board. So really, anything in Notion is actually a page, and you can use it for almost any purpose. Let me go back. So let's quickly demonstrate the databases. Again, I'm going to create a page because that's a handy way of storing that new database we're going to be looking into. So let me type here page and give it a title. And now instead of starting to type something here, I'm going to make this page a database. And let's create a new one. Let's call it actually tasks. Anyone is familiar to some extent with managing tasks, so this is a good example to have. Our task has a name. It can have an assignee. Here you see all the different properties we have that we can use for our databases. So let's have a person as assignee. And let's, sorry, oh my God, there. And let's add a date as the due date. And finally, let's add, say, a checkbox for marking the task as completed. You could add so many other things as well, but let's use these for now. So now I'm just going to add a couple of tasks here and a couple of due dates and mark one of these complete. Now we've created a database with just 3 items, and then we can create various views to that same data. So let's create a board view where everything is grouped by, let's group it by whether it's, okay, this is maybe a little bit stupid example. You would like to have more statuses, but now it's grouped by whether it's completed or not. And then we could have these Gantt type of views as well, where we can drag these items on a timeline. It's an endless amount of possibilities here. And one thing to mention is also that in whatever view, we can always open any of these items to open another. This is also a page. So now that we open this example task, we opened a page where we can again start typing. We can write our novel within this page, or we can put some nice images there, whatever we need. Now I'm going to go back, and maybe I want to still show one more thing before showing the pricing there. So one thing that's super cool and a little bit advanced about Notion is how you can create linked views of database. So previously we created this task database there. So now we can actually have a view of that database in a different place. So let's type linked view of database, and we can pull the same data onto this page. So it's in a different place, but still it's the same data and it's synced across the workspace. Doesn't look too cool here, but I can tell you cool things start happening when you make use of these. What's awesome about Notion as well is that you can use almost every functionality with the free plan. So compared to all the other leading tools where you need to pay yourself, pay quite a bit every month, you can go free with Notion. And even if you need to bring some team members in, it will not be more than $8 per user per month, and you might even get by using them as guests for free. Yeah, but that's about the Notion demo, and then let me demo what we can actually achieve with it. So here's one demo company headquarters where I've compiled a few basic use cases for Notion just to give you an overview of what we can set up. And these are just examples. So to repeat myself, Notion is super flexible. So any of this could be done in a totally different way if that was what your business needs. Let's start with the goals. This is actually one of the freebies. So if you want to manage your business goal setting and tracking using Notion, Kelly will be providing you the link to download this exact same goal management template. But here we have a way of managing goals using the objectives and key results method. We can see where we are going, what are the key results we want to achieve, how close we are achieving them. Then here's one example of a very simple lead manager where we can manage all the people in our sales pipeline. We can add all sorts of information on these people's cards. We can start again writing all kinds of notes here. Then we have one example of a slightly more complex lead manager where we have on this page, we've created a sort of dashboard with resources and links in one place, a list of companies to contact again. And we have the sales pipeline where we can move the deals forward in the process. We have a sales forecast based on the information of the sales pipeline so that we can see how much money we're expecting to be making in the coming months. That's always good to know. We have a client management module where we can view all the organizations we're working with, the people we're working with. Obviously, for example, a coaching business, we might not be working so much with organizations than with individual people, but we can always set it up just the way we need. And we can, if we want, we can bring the coaching or meeting notes right alongside that. We can have those within the person's card to bring all the context, bring all the information where you need it. This is all super flexible and not something I've seen any other tool be able to do. Then let's take a quick look at a task manager built on Notion. Once again, could look quite different for your business, but we could have a weekly plan where you can plan ahead what you're going to be working on and when, a list of urgent tasks, tasks by priority, by category, a due date calendar showing what's coming up, just as an example. You could use Notion for managing all your documents in one place, be it in Google Drive, be it somewhere in the internet, be it locally here in Notion. You could still manage and bring it in one place with tags so that it's super easy for you to find what you're looking for just by searching for a tag. And because we can also link the databases together, we can link a document to a certain client so that we can organize them in different ways. A couple of more things. We've talked about processes and standard operating procedures. That's one thing that can be very well managed on Notion. So here's just one example of an SOP library where we have all our processes categorized. When we open the process, we have an SOP description, which can easily be given out to a VA or other team member, what needs to be updated and stuff like that. And finally, let me show this content planning example here. So it's always useful to batch your content creation and plan it in one sitting and create it in another one. So one way to facilitate is having all of that planning in Notion with pictures, images. When you open one of these posts, you can add all the content there, the hashtags you're going to be using, publishing dates, statuses, whatever process works for your business. View it in calendar, have all the links handy. Yeah, but I think that last one is accidentally empty. That's why I'm not going to be opening that one. But yeah.
Can you post it from there too, or is it just more for organizing it?
It can be achieved. It requires using an automation tool because Notion doesn't have a built-in integration with social platforms, but it's possible to achieve that using this tool called Make and having an automation that whenever something happens in Notion, a post is created in, for example, Buffer, and then from there it goes out to Instagram or Facebook. So that can be automated, but by default, it's not available in Notion. Yeah, but let me.
Is Make like Zapier? Yeah. Is that like Zapier?
Yeah, it is for very similar purposes. Zapier can also be used for quite many things when wanting to automate Notion. However, I would say Make is more versatile and it allows you to create a little bit more complexity around how to automate things. But it is a tool used for similar purposes.
Okay.
Zapier also works for automating quite a few things with Notion, definitely. Here I still have a couple of images from some customer projects and other examples, just to give you an idea of all the things you could be managing in Notion. So as mentioned, we can have tasks and projects there, weekly, daily plans, goal setting. This is in German, I guess. Meeting memos and notebooks, processes and SOPs, content planning, lead tracking, sales process, client info, wikis, team handbooks, financials, even brand assets, client portals, hiring, whatever you need is usually possible to organize on Notion. Now, as we're approaching the end of what I wanted to share with you, you might be thinking, if you're interested in getting started with Notion, what's the best way to do that? So essentially, I would say there are three different ways to go. One of them is obviously doing it yourself. So if you have the capacity and time to invest in learning and practicing the Notion's functionalities, you can obviously build your business system from scratch using Notion. This is by far the most time-consuming option, so I wouldn't be necessarily recommending it to a very busy entrepreneur. Then there are endless amount of ready-made templates, some of them free, some of them paid, that can be used to set up something up quickly and easy. So that's one great way to go. However, there's a little word of warning using these templates. And one thing is that when you're using a template that has been designed by someone else, you can be sure that it has not been designed exactly for your business. So you might want to run into some issues with the template not working exactly as you would like it to. So you might end up still wanting to tweak something or make some changes on your end. And also there's a risk that when you set up one part using this template from one creator and another part using this template from another creator, these pieces will not talk with each other. So again, to have your customers linked with your meeting notes, you might need to do some tweaking to really have a comprehensive, smooth, streamlined system. But still, it's a good option for many cases to use these templates. And finally, obviously, there's the option of hiring a consultant to help. And this is great when you don't have too much time to learn everything yourself. You want to make sure that you do it right and you create a setup that is really personalized and customized for your situation. So that's where consulting help can be great. Obviously, takes a little bit more money than doing it yourself, but that can save you quite a bit of time and money in the long run. Now I have time for some of your questions before I share some nice free surprises in the end. Do you still have something in mind you'd like to ask?
I'm wondering, how is it for importing or exporting information? Like if you already had an Excel spreadsheet, you want to import it in, or maybe a client only works in Excel or something, so you need to export it out. Like how is it set up for that?
Yes, let me actually, maybe I can quickly show you it. Yeah, so it is possible to import information from elsewhere, and maybe this is the easiest way to show some of the possibilities. So there is a ready-made integration with, for example, Trello, Evernote, Asana, that you can use to directly have stuff coming in from another system. And then if you're using another system, you could use a CSV file for importing that data, or a text and markdown or HTML version. So I would say in most cases, if the system you're importing from at least exports a CSV file, you can get that information into Notion pretty smoothly.
Okay, and that would be the same for exporting then as well?
Yeah, you can also export from Notion. I gotta admit, I don't know by heart what are all the what are the same. Sorry, what is wrong with my English? What are the options of the ways you can export, but at the least you can have the CSV files and probably quite a few other options as well. Sorry, I don't remember
Are you
by
kind of
heart.
meaning for like
Yeah.
file sharing, Stephanie, like and like managing changes and stuff to like when you're working on a document with a client?
Ah,
Not necessarily, but that is a related question. Yeah.
yeah. So in Notion, it's fairly easy to share stuff with others either within your workspace or outside. So on any database or any page you're in, you have the share button where you can either invite people using their email, or if they're already in your workspace, you can invite them there. And you can also, one way to do it is to share to web and you can have a secret link that you can just send out to anyone, and then they can view whatever you wanted them to see. And if they are a Notion user, they can also go and edit that page as well. So they don't even need to be a paying member of your workspace to collaborate with you. That's why quite many of my clients who have teams are actually using it on the free plan even. Yeah, but that's totally possible.
My other question is how
there's actually the export still. Sorry to interrupt,
that's
but
okay.
now I found it. So you can also export in PDF, HTML, and Markdown CSV.
Okay. What about for connecting with like email and stuff?
Yes, so that's something that requires some third-party tools to help, but yes, we can achieve things such as sending an email from Gmail onto your task list, that sort of thing. Depends a little bit on the specifics of what you need, but it can be achieved.
As Kelly talked about with Outlook, that's still somewhat where I'm stuck. And there are some functions in Outlook that you know, I kind of like, where you can like tag an email for follow-up or remind yourself to follow up with it or whatever. So that makes up part of my task list, right? So I would want to be able to integrate the two.
Yeah. So there is, for example, a free Chrome plugin that allows you to send an email from Gmail to any of your databases, which could be your task list. And another way that I personally use is that when I create a link to this email, an individual email, I can create a link to it in Gmail, and then I just paste that link to whatever task I have on my to-do list to work on a certain topic related to that email.
Okay.
This is making me realize how many things are not connected in my business. Because there's the communication tools is a whole other ball game, because I use Slack, I use Voxer, I text people and email people, and it's like,
oh yeah. So
where?
Yeah, in Notion, one pretty handy way to keep everyone up to date, well, obviously when you have a shared task database where you can assign stuff to people, that's one great way to keep everyone on top of what is the status of what anyone is working on. But then there's also this functionality called updates. Well, I don't have anything here right now, but this can be used as a personal inbox within Notion, where anyone will see a list of items that are due, or items that have been assigned to them, items where they have been mentioned, things like that, so that they can see in one place anything they should be paying attention to across the whole workspace. And if they're not on Notion at that time, they would get an email reminder once a day listing the things they need to be paying attention to. And what comes to other communication tools, probably the best tool to go together with Notion would be Slack, at least for teams, because that has a built-in integration with Notion, so you can also send some information back and forth between those two tools.
Awesome. Do you have any more questions, Stephanie?
Just with the email, I know you gave Google examples, but if you use like Outlook or something, like how would that integrate? Or like, are there tools that help you integrate that?
I must say, I can't say from the top of my head, but I'm quite sure there would be some way to do that. Outlook is such a, I haven't personally done that yet for anyone because everyone has been using Gmail for some reason. But Outlook is such a popular tool that I'm fairly sure that using these integration tools, at least, it's possible to have some sort of connection there.
Okay.
But as said, integrations and automations at this point of time is one of the few things where Notion still falls short of some of the other top options we discussed there. So some of these automations between other systems might be still easier to do with ClickUp, Asana, or Trello, but Notion last year they purchased or acquired an automation company, so they're quite strongly working towards fixing that kind of limitation on their platform.
Okay.
Any other questions before I go to the surprise section?
Let's do the surprises.
Okay, let's spill the beans. Let's go here. All right. Yeah, so there are two surprises. The first one is that I've recently released a Notion 101 crash course. So if you're interested in learning the basics of using Notion in just 60 minutes using this video-based online course, I have these bite-sized training videos which cover how Notion is structured, how to build with the blocks, how to set up the user and access rights, how to collaborate with your team, and how to use databases. So in case, maybe I will move this somewhere, it's right on top of the magic word. But if you want to get access to this new free Notion 101 crash course, just send me a DM with the word 101. And then the other surprise I wanted to give you is my free systems audit. So I've reserved 5 spots for next week for people to book me for a free systems audit. And this is for anyone who is maybe slightly more serious about getting organized on Notion and looking for better ways to organize their growing business and team, want to understand better what areas of their business might most benefit from systemizing, and are interested in using Notion as a tool, but don't yet have a very concrete picture of what would be possible for their business on this tool. And how it works in practice is that I first send you this system audit survey, which pretty thoroughly goes through what's happening in your business and what's the status of your systems. And then we have a 60-minute session to discuss where you are, my recommendations on what areas to prioritize, and I will present you with a concrete vision of what could be in your dream Notion workspace and what would be the suggested next steps. If you're interested in getting one of these free systems audit spots, just DM me the word audit and I will send you the booking link. And maybe you also want to know where to actually send the DM. So here is a list of my social channels and my website. My most active social media is Instagram, but you can also find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and via email. So any of these, whatever works best for you, use that and send me a DM. And even if you're not interested in grabbing any of these freebies, I'd love to connect and get to know you better. So don't hesitate to get in touch. But thank you. It has been truly a pleasure discussing with you. And I really loved all the spot on questions you had for me. It was lovely discussing with you and sharing what I love.
Thank you, Taina. Those are amazing gifts for sure, to be able to get a custom audit of like, how the heck could I even do this? Because for people like us whose brains don't work like yours, we're like, I don't even know where to start. So here's all the things I do. Please tell me how to help start fixing this. So that would be amazing. So I dropped in the chat the Instagram link for Taina, and below the video in the recording, there'll be all of the other ways to connect with you. So anybody who's catching up on the replay from this can still do so.
Perfect. Yeah.
So just quickly before we go, just a quick entrepreneur school plug. We are getting back onto our regular schedule for September. So we have a lot of really awesome speakers coming up. Oh, one of them is here right now. So in September, we're going to be talking about networking. We're going to be talking about having effective meetings, i.e. being able to get what you want out of a meeting so that you're not frustrated by meetings that just keep recurring for some reason. Then we're going to talk about health and wellness in October, and we're going to talk about LinkedIn as well. Lots of really awesome presenters coming up. So make sure that you're subscribed to get the emails about our upcoming events, and follow along on the events page and sign up, because these are all free workshops that can help you to learn a new skill or see something differently that can make a big difference in your business. So hope to see you at an upcoming event, and thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank
Kelly.
you.